Not seeing a live feed yet, so I'm just hanging out. There we go. What's up, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of VCCLive. I am Kevin Skipper, and with my co-host today, we have Jay DeLuco and Matt Coley. And Nick is still traveling, so he won't be joining us today, but that's okay. We'll power through. We have a lot of great content to get through today. Matt, you're looking a little pink.
Yeah, my color was fine 5 minutes ago, and now all of a sudden it shifted.
Well, we'll let you get that straightened out for a second, and we'll see what kind of shades you turn while Jay tells us what he's been up to the last few weeks since we missed last week's live.
Let's see, what have I been up to? Well, this week I've been laid out sick with a pretty good head cold that turned into a chest cold, and now it's back to a head cold, and I think tomorrow I will be 100%, but today I'm still pretty shitty. Other than that, a little bit trying to prepare for Vapetoberfest over in Raynham, Mass tomorrow. It's going to be benefiting the Right to Be Smoke-Free Association. If you need information on that, go ahead and friend me up on Facebook, and I'll get you as much info as I can.
Can you tell us, just give us really quickly here, the date and times and stuff like that?
It is tomorrow. Tomorrow. I believe it's starting at noon, running until 8 o'clock. There's going to be raffles, a ton of local vendors, local and regional vendors. A lot of speakers are scheduled. There is an entrance fee, again, going towards Right to Be Smoke Free, but that also includes dinner. So we're going to be fooding it up.
Nice.
And a cash bar.
And so all proceeds from the event are going to the Right to Be Smoke-Free industry lawsuit?
Correct.
Okay. And while we're talking about that, I couldn't find anything official on it, but I have seen, I was going to try to show a link or something. I tried to access the docket for that court case, but you have to be a member and a paid member to look at the district court's docket. I'm not sure what that's about, but I had heard that it was moved up from October 19th, I believe it was scheduled for, to October 11th, the hearing where the judge is going to hear presentation of evidence by both parties in the Nicopure / Right to Be Smoke-Free lawsuit against the FDA. So, if we get any more details on that, we'll definitely share them with you. And October 11th can't come soon enough, because the sooner that the judge hears the evidence, the sooner she can begin rendering her ruling, and hopefully it's beneficial for the vaping industry at some point within the next 2 to 3 months. So,
has anyone speculated as to whether it was very telling, whether it's kind of telling that she moved it up, or is it just?
I haven't heard a whole lot on it other than the date was changed, but I've done some research on this judge, and I think I've talked about it on here in the past. I can't remember if I have or not, but she has ruled against the government. She was an Obama appointee to the federal district court in the District of Columbia. Judge Berman Jackson, I think is her name. I can't remember her full name, but anyway, something like that, Barrett Jackson. She has ruled against the federal government in a few cases against the EPA, which was overturned on appeal, and she had to amend her ruling. But and again, whatever happens in this case, either way, whichever side prevails, is going to be appealed. So it's not over. This is just the first step in the process for sure. But she also ruled against Obama, the one who appointed her, on another issue, another case that was before her. So, it gives me a little bit of hope that, she appears to not only side with, the government stance. So I guess we'll see what happens. But, I've read both of the lawsuits and the responses, and I certainly think nothing in the law is ever a slam dunk. It's 50-50, but I think that the attorneys for Nicopure and the Right to Be Smoke-Free have done a really good job at presenting.
Is there any talk of a potential injunction while this lawsuit is being carried out?
It all remains to be seen. Honestly, you can't even. Any speculation at this point would just give people false hope and rumors to spread. So that's something we definitely want to stay away from. Once we get some information and hear some stuff from the court, then we'll be able to share the facts, which is what we do on this show anyway, and what I try to do in life. So, yeah. So anyway, that was not really a topic we were talking about today. It's just something I wanted to bring up since you mentioned that you were doing the Vapetoberfest and the Right to Be Smoke-Free fundraiser and stuff. There was a little bit of a change to the date on the hearing. So, Matt, what's going on with you? How's things?
I was at the Connecticut Safada fundraiser last weekend. They call it the Connecticut Vapor Trail. Not a huge turnout, but it was still a good time. Weather was nice. It was outdoors. Quick little trip. Besides that, not a lot.
All right. Yep. I'm the same old story, preparing for VCCTN in a few weeks. And yeah, keeping up with advocacy stuff. Since Vista has dissolved, been trying to get more active back in Florida again, which I have been with the FSFA. So that's good. We still have spots open for Tennessee. If you're interested, vapingcc.com for VCCTN. It's October 22nd and 23rd.
Don't take up too many tables, though, guys, because I still need mine.
I'll save one for you, Jay. I know a guy who can help you out there. All right, so what we're talking about today, the first thing we're going to talk about is the Pennsylvania tax bill. And as we covered with the WTF Pennsylvania, I don't know, 3, 4, 5 episodes ago, with the 40% floor tax in addition to the other taxes that were passed in Pennsylvania, there has been a huge mobilization against that 40% floor tax over the last month and a half, or a couple months, and it looks like they're actually making some headway. So I asked Chris Hughes, who was our guest at that episode, to give me kind of a rundown of what's been going on, and he has done that. So let me find the email, which I will read again for our people who are listening on the replay and the podcast. So this is what Chris Hughes had to say. He says, on Monday, we had a rally that went really well in the rotunda of the Capitol. The rally was well attended and extremely well organized. 300 to 500 people showed up in support of Representative Whelan's amendment. The primary organizer of the rally was Chuck Huff, who owns a small online vapor business, Eve Vape. He was assisted by John Dietz, a.k.a. Johnny Cottonseed, who acted as MC, and Dave Norris, the new PA Safada president. Several legislators spoke. Representative Whelan gave a particularly rousing speech. There was also a long list of incredible speakers like Pamela Gorman, who is the new executive director of Safada, Greg Conley of the AVA, Alex Clark from CASA, Dave Norris from PA Safada, Paul Blair from Americans for Tax Reform, Bob Dick from the Commonwealth Foundation. They have been tremendously helpful to us, he says. Bill Godshaw and others. All attendees were well behaved and nobody vaped inside the Capitol. For those that don't know, Representative Whelan's bill, HB 2342, would amend the 40% wholesale cost tax to 5 cents per milliliter at the retail level. Because this is a retail level tax, it would eliminate the retroactive floor tax provision that requires shops to write a check for existing stock they have when the tax goes into effect. This is a less than perfect solution, as I'm sure we all agree, as it really isn't good policy to tax people for trying to smoke less cigarettes. Unfortunately, though, now that the bill has passed, we have to rely on the governor's signature on any fix to this solution. This is an object lesson in why it's so important to prevent bad legislation from passing in the first place. There are proposals to repeal the bill, but if they make it through the legislature, the governor would instantly veto them, and time is certainly running out. At least 62 businesses have closed in the state already, including mine. On Monday, we were concerned about attempts by the Department of Revenue to have 2342 amended to 22 cents per milliliter, which they falsely claim it would have to be to bring the same amount of revenue as a 40% wholesale cost tax. The bill had a hearing Tuesday morning in the Finance Committee and could have been amended there or even killed. The great news is it passed the committee 18-4. 4 Democrats voted against. A couple of Democrats in the committee voted in favor of the bill, which will make it somewhat easier to pass a floor vote. I'm happy to report that I received a text from Representative Whelan last night to inform me that it is now on the House calendar for a floor vote on October 18th. Once this process is complete in the House, the bill will go to the Senate, where preparations are already being made. One of the biggest threats we face remains a potential veto from Governor Wolf. I would strongly encourage all PA residents or former residents to call the governor's office and urge him not to veto HB 2342 when it comes to his desk. The phone number there is 717-787-2500. I'd also encourage PA residents and particularly PA vendors to get in touch with their state House reps and state senators and encourage them to support HB 2342. Again, that's from Chris Hughes, Fat Cat Vapor, formerly a Fat Cat Vapor. He's also running as a write-in candidate for his local House district there in Pennsylvania. So we'll cover that in a second. But yeah, it sounds like they're making some progress in Pennsylvania. And again, something that I've said for a 2 or 3 years now, being involved in vaping advocacy, it's a lot easier to prevent bad legislation from passing than it is to try to go back and change it or fix it once it's already been enacted into law. So that was a lot of talking by me. I'm going to give myself just a break on my voice. What do you guys think of what Chris had to say and what's happening there?
Well, first of all, I absolutely agree. It's much easier to prevent legislation from passing than it is to remove that legislation once it's in place. We see that all the time in Massachusetts. Fortunately, that it seems like this amendment, which is essentially what it is, it's an amendment to the existing legislation, looks like it has some legs. It sounds to me like their biggest hurdle is going to be the governor's office, which is good in that you can focus your advocacy efforts on that office. So long as it's looking like it's got a good chance of getting through the Senate, as proposed, vapors in Pennsylvania know where to focus their energy. That's what I'm getting from that.
Yeah, I talked to a few people that were there, and they all seemed to come away from it feeling pretty positive. So, I think it's still, it's still a uphill climb, but there's definitely a chance. So if you're a business owner there and you're planning on shutting your doors, I would try to hold on at least until you get a definitive answer.
Yeah. Yeah, so I think that they're definitely making progress in the right direction. Wish this could have been done prior to. I know that they worked hard against it and they got lied to by a lot of politicians there to let it get to this point. But hopefully they're making strides in the right direction. He did send me a few pictures of the rally, so I'll switch over to the right monitor real quick and share those with you guys. Where did they go? That's weird. Maybe I closed it instead. Give me 1 sec. Anyway, I'm not going to show the pictures. I don't know where they went. And I think if I minimize this, it'll make you guys look weird. Oh, yeah, there we go.
I can't fix. Should I go grab? It would take me like 2 minutes. Should I grab my other camera? Or
yeah, go ahead. We'll continue talking about this for a second.
Right,
so just grab the other camera.
I'll be right back. Just turn this off like that.
Do I need to call you back?
No, it'll be fine. I just muted basically.
Oh, got you. Okay. Well, it looks a little bit different with Jay, but anyway, we're going to the right monitor right now anyhow, so.
Yep.
So I got the pictures back here. This is some pictures, and you can see that they were able to fill the rotunda all the way up and around with vapors, and that is a very positive sign to see when you're trying to accomplish something with the government, to be respectful, dress appropriately, and act appropriately. And it looks as if they had a really good turnout, and yeah, this is exactly what we need to see. Another picture from the event. I think the last one we had looked like Paul Blair from the Americans for Tax Reform was speaking at the moment. And then here's one with Greg Connolly speaking in the rotunda. So yeah, really good there. Glad to see that turnout from vapors in the state of Pennsylvania. And while Matt is still trying to fix his, we'll stay on the right monitor real quick. As I mentioned, Chris is running for as a write-in candidate because he decided to do this after his local representative was dishonest with him about the pending vaping legislation several months back. So it was past the date for him to file as a candidate, but he is running for a write-in campaign in Pennsylvania. You can go to www.chrishughes4pa.com and you'll find this information. I'll post the link in the description below. He's got some information here about what he's doing and why he's running as a write-in candidate for this position. You can click to donate, and I think he said that he was trying to get a PayPal button for a $5 contribution from consumers. No matter where you're at, you can do a $5 contribution, and he has like basically a month left to fundraise. And he needs, obviously campaigns cost money. So check back to this site and see if you can find that PayPal button when they get it up. I'm not sure what this is for. This might just be for people who live in PA. I'm not really sure. But he already has a contribution up here. But I think he's going to do a $5 button for PayPal. So let's go back. I'm going to go to the splash screen real quick since we still don't have...
And if you're not registered to vote, I believe most states require that you register by around mid-October. So get on that.
Yes. So mid-October would be the deadline, what you're saying, for the November 8th election.
Correct.
We're still kind of wonky there.
Once he comes back, it'll straighten it.
Let's go back. Let's go over real quick and we'll talk about the Beyond the Cloud. Oh, wait. Looks like we're getting Matt with us. Hopefully the screen capture is still correct. No, it's not. All right, let's go to right monitor here. The next item we had to talk about, was there any questions in chat real quick about that, by the way? About PA questions or comments?
Not about that, no. There are some questions piling up, but we can get to them during the Q&A session.
Okay. So while we're moving on to that, let me just remind you all, if you're watching live, please don't forget to smash that like button while you're live right now. It really helps us.
I take that back. Amy Hamilton asks if the change only applies to in-state shops or all sales. I don't know if you want to take that.
If the change only applies to in-state sales or all sales. You mean the 4 cents or 5, whatever it was per milliliter?
The 5 cents per milliliter change from the 40% floor tax.
I would assume that it's all retail transactions in the state of PA. That's the way I understood it from the...
Yeah, that's my understanding as well. I mean, I don't think this was ever going to apply to internet sales from out-of-state vendors.
No, I don't. That's just not the way sales tax works. If you buy something online and you live in the state and it's shipping to your address in the state, then usually it automatically calculates what the sales tax is. If you're buying from out of state, then no, it typically does not apply to out of state purchases. So yeah. So we're going to move on and we're going to talk about next. We're going to talk about the documentary that I just watched the other day. It's called Beyond the Cloud, and it's a French documentary. I think, let's see, what does it say here? I'm going to play the trailer that they have for it here. But it says about the movie, a French documentary directed by Ghislaine Armand and Sébastien Dujardin. I don't know how to say those. Sorry, guys. A Vape Expo's production in partnership with the Vaping Post. So instead of me reading all of this, I'm just going to play this for you guys really quickly here. It's only about 4 minutes long. This is the trailer, and then we can discuss the movie. And yeah, hold on. Here we go.
I'm getting no audio.
Yeah, same. No audio here either. Of course, it's all in French anyway, so.
Yeah. Let's see if it picks up here. It's all subtitled.
Brutalement dans une autre façon de penser.
C'est vrai que ça nous a changé la vie.
C'est de m'apercevoir que je n'étais plus esclave de quelque chose.
Ça a été une gifle, mais monumentale.
J'ai fait mon armée. Le tabac nous était fourni par l'État.
À cette époque-là, tout le monde fume. C'est tellement commun, la fumée, que personne n'imagine que ça peut être le tabac qui entraîne le cancer du poumon, puisqu'il y a tant de fumée.
Jamais à l'époque on disait que le tabac ne donnait pas encore de maladie, c'est venu sur le tard. Oh, j'étais facilement à un paquet et demi par jour. C'est les gens qui ne fumaient pas qui paraissaient bizarres. On les aurait presque dénoncés.
Il m'est arrivé de récolter des bouts de fin de cigarettes, même aller chercher dans les poubelles, les mégots, quoi.
Alors Alors ça, c'est une cigarette électronique. Est-ce que selon vous, c'est moins toxique ou plus toxique que le tabac?
Je pense qu'il vaut mieux éviter.
S'il veut s'empoisonner, qu'il s'empoisonne.
Moi, je pense que c'est plus toxique.
Plus toxique.
Plus toxique aussi.
I think it's more toxic than tobacco.
Electronic cigarette is 96 times less harmful compared to tobacco combustion.
Une des causes de cette incompréhension ou de ces différences dans les opinions par rapport à la cigarette électronique, c'est qu'on n'identifie pas l'ennemi correctement. L'ennemi, c'est la combustion. Ce n'est pas forcément le tabac ni la nicotine.
No skill having motherfucker. No skill having motherfucker. And everybody knows it.
Vers le ciel pour leur montrer qui on est.
Et nous, vapoteurs, on défendait nos arguments juste avec nos cœurs, avec le fait qu'on ne voulait pas retomber dans le tabac.
48 lettres françaises.
Ils sont peu lourds quand même.
En fait, on demande les députés de réglementer quelque chose on ne connaît pas.
Pour les collègues, on ne sait pas encore très bien ce qu'on doit en faire.
Il n'y a pas beaucoup de produits aussi dangereux que la cigarette. Donc,
Il est là, mon combat. Il est de vaincre ce poison.
Tobacco kills more people than almost any other consumer product.
il faudrait une réponse plus organisée.
No skill.
All right, so that's the gist of it, the trailer. I don't know if you guys had a chance to watch it in its entirety before the show today. It's about an hour, just over an hour long. I had a chance to watch it the other day.
I watched it. I watched about half of it. I'm about halfway through it right now. Very well made. Sorry.
Someone important calling to tell you how well made it was.
Yeah, no, it's Friday. It's telemarketer day.
I thought it was a very well done film, and I like the fact that they didn't focus just on. They kind of covered Europe and the United States, and not really too much. I didn't see in Canada or anywhere else, but mainly United States and Europe, and the fight that we're having in both locations. And I was kind of. I mean, I knew a little bit. I knew some about the TPD. And, you know, obviously I'm not as informed as I am about what's happening in the United States and in some of the state level stuff. But I knew enough about the TPD, you know, to know what was going on. But the correlation between the fight that they're facing there and is exactly what we're facing here, with the lack of knowledge by elected representatives and misinformation, media bias. So that's pretty much what I got from the gist of the film. Yeah, so go ahead and just from what you've seen so far, what do you think in there, Jay?
Yeah, I mean, I was more or less looking to see, you know, how they broke it out, and you know, they start the film off, you know, just kind of giving a really rough overview of the history of traditional cigarettes, transferring into, you know, what we have now with, you know, both traditional and e-cigarettes, and they just started getting into kind of the industry fight that's going on right now, and it did actually seem pretty balanced. They had a few doctors on there that were just like, you know, oh, I'm not really sure, you know, we can't really say how good these are, you know, but certainly they've got to be at least, you know, a percentage better than traditional cigarettes. But you know, all in all, it seems to be produced very well. I'm not sure that there's much of a market for this film beyond the vapor crowd, just because there is kind of a little bit of inside baseball going on that people outside might not understand. And ultimately, I think that's what a film needs to do. It needs to tug on the heartstrings of the general public, not just smokers and vapors. But all in all, I thought it was very well done. So
Have you
far.
had a chance, Matt, to see it yet?
Yeah, I'm not all the way through with it either, but it is, yeah, it's well done. Does anybody know who created it?
Yeah, it was the guys that were just at the end there. I'll see if I can find their name. It was the I think one of the organizers of Vap Expo.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
And this Vaping Post website. Yeah, so it's I don't know how to say their names, unfortunately. Ghislaine Armand and Sebastian Dunjdam. I don't know how to say them.
One thing I like when I don't know if it's exactly like this in France, but when I was in England, it definitely seems like that. Like when I was at the event there, it seems like the crowd as a whole, it was more informed than like your average crowd at a U.S. event. They were more involved and more, you know what I'm saying? It just seems like they were really on top of it. So. You know, I'm not exactly sure how they are in France, but all these guys, your average vapor over there that's into it, that's a hobbyist vapor, knows everything about what's going on, and it was refreshing to see.
Yeah, I think the film was very well done, and I like the nexus that was drawn between, you know, very different forms of government in different parts of the world, but we're still having the same issue. And I guess that just goes to show that it all boils down to money and not public health in the eyes of any government, no matter where you're at in the world. And that's truly, truly unfortunate. But, you know, with information like Beyond the Cloud and A Billion Lives and some of these other films, hopefully they get out there and we can change some of the public perception about vaping, because I remember when I started using electronic cigarettes, obviously I wanted to research more about what they were. And, you know, I saw some stuff on public opinion that was, I don't know, was like 80% of the public thought at the time, this was in 2013, 80% of the public believed that vaping was a better alternative or a safer alternative than combustible tobacco. This was in 2013. Recent studies I've seen this year, it's more like 40% believe. So
yeah.
That's quite a difference in opinion in the public's eyes, which only means that we're losing the public relations and media war. And it is a war, so I don't use that term lightly, but that's one of the biggest opponents we have right now is the media and the public perception against vaping and electronic cigarettes, contrary to all the scientific evidence to this point indicating that it's at least 95 to plus safer than combustible tobacco cigarettes. So
yeah, you know, I've always heard, like, you know, you always hear, oh, the media is in bed with the government and blah blah blah, but you know, this is the first time that I've ever actually seen it firsthand, and it is just sickening.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, the way that it's all planned out to, like, to have these different news articles drop on, you know, certain important, you know, like right around May when they announced the final regs, all of a sudden there's new articles coming out about the harms and stuff. It was all pre-planned.
Yeah. I'm going to jump back to the right monitor for just a second, because at the end of the film, there's a lot of good points in the film where I could have probably stopped it and played a few clips from it, but this is right at the very end, and I think you guys will recognize who this is speaking. They might even tell, but hopefully this audio is a little bit better.
For years, all of these government agencies, all of these health advocates, they have been telling us that smoking is bad for us, right? They said, you should not smoke, you should quit. We did exactly what they have been telling us to do for all of these years, and now they're trying to shut that down too. We need facts before fear, okay?
I thought that was a really good statement by Phil. And I've heard him say it before. So I'll just basically tell you what.
I couldn't hear it.
You couldn't hear it? Okay, well, what Phil Bissardo was a segment of the movie, and he was basically saying for years they've been telling us to stop smoking. And so we did. We found a way to. We have. And now they're trying to take that from us as well. And I just thought that that was a very, powerful statement. And I'm glad they kind of ended the film on that note, because it's absolutely true. It's like you're damned if you do, damned if you don't.
Mm-hmm. So, well, we didn't do it. We didn't do it by the approved method. That's the problem.
Exactly.
Right. So anyway, yeah, overall, I would definitely give the film a recommendation. It's just over an hour. It's not too terribly long. I would say definitely check it out. I'll post a link to it in the description. It's not going to movie theaters. It's on YouTube, actually. I mean, you can just watch it on YouTube.
Yep.
So, yeah, I will post a link to that in the description, and maybe in the comments to this video, if you're watching this on the replay, or if you're listening to it on the podcast version, find this video on the YouTube. Just search for Vaping CC. You'll find it. This is episode 16 of VCCLive. Put some comments in the description to this video. What do you think about the movie? What do you think that they did well? What do you think they could have done better? Yeah. So I like the fact that it's out there and open to the general public just to watch. But I do agree with Jay. I think it's tailored more towards vapors and new vapors and maybe smokers who are potential vapors and stuff than it is towards maybe the right audience of what we truly need. And I unfortunately have not had the chance to see 1 billion lives yet, and I don't think that was tailored towards smokers. I mean towards vapors.
Right.
So anyway,
actually, along those lines, I agree. The statement from Aaron is that this film is not just directed towards vapors, so it concentrates more on kind of the shenanigans that are going on in the background, to kind of stifle this industry, which can, definitely be of interest to the general media and the general public. And actually, Aaron went live, I think it was last night, to talk about how you can get 1 billion lives into a theater in your locale. So definitely, send 1 billion lives a like over on Facebook, and you can watch that video, and he walks you through the process on organizing a showing in your locale. And it's actually really easy. It's really easy to do. So I would definitely suggest folks do that.
Yeah, people love stories of government corruption. I still have high hopes that once that hits, Netflix and the other online services, that there's going to be even more buzz about it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think so too. I think that'll be a format that'll be more easily watched by millions of people, and even politicians can watch it in the comfort of their own home and with anonymity, that no one knows that they're watching it, or maybe for fear of being criticized for it at some point. So I mean, obviously, if an elected official goes to a movie theater, that's going to be they're probably going to be recognized. But yeah, I'm looking forward to that as well when it gets to Netflix or some other outlet like that. So, All right.
There was a interesting question in the comments. I would like to answer it once you guys are done with it.
Well, I'm just going to move on to the next. So if you want to answer it, go ahead.
Oh, well, somebody had asked a little while ago what our opinion was on the whole vapor games thing. Have you guys seen that?
Yeah, I had that one queued up for questions. So
okay,
yeah.
well let's
if you want to,
let's go ahead and do it now. Yeah, go ahead.
Go for it.
Sorry about that, guys.
No.
I don't necessarily. They did approach me asking if they could pay me to promote it too, and I turned them down. I don't necessarily think like it's this horrible thing for the industry. I just think that AV40 really should have talked to a marketing firm in the United States, and it's going to do absolutely nothing to. I mean, that's why they're doing it, is to promote their company, obviously, and it. Everyone in the United States is just going to think it's silly. I mean, it's just a total cultural thing where they do have weird, odd, game show type things like that over in some of the different Asian countries. But I mean, everyone's screaming, "This is horrible! It's horrible for us." I mean, come on. At the end of the day, I don't really think it makes a difference. But it's obviously really silly, and I think it's a big waste of money. And that was part of the reason why I wasn't going to promote it. Is like, you're just wasting your money trying to promote this in the States. This is not going to catch on.
Can you elaborate a little bit more what it is about?
It's basically a game show for vaping, right? And they do all these weird. I might make a separate video on it and kind of make a spoof off of it. They do all these weird vape tricks, vape contests, who can blow vapor into a balloon faster and make it pop, just weird shit. But then there's also some odd stuff that's really indescribable going, weird outfits and stuff. I mean, if you've ever seen other, like Chinese game shows, they're out there, right?
Yeah.
For us.
Yeah,
And
that's exactly what I took away from it. Like, it was definitely kind of made in the mold of like a Japanese game show or a Chinese game show. A lot of, and it was funny. Like, all their intros and the title scripts and all that stuff was very professionally done. But then as soon as you got to the actual content, like, their audio was all wonky, and the backdrops were awful, and it was very strange, very strange. I can't imagine that videos like that would actually be used against us in the U.S. because it's such an Asian style, piece of art, if you can call it that.
I've urged some of these Chinese companies before, like, hey, if you need to get a marketing person from the West, at least. Like, if you're going to try to market here, don't let your normal Chinese marketing people, do it, because you guys just have no clue. Just like we don't have a clue what's hot over there. And
all the contestants were employees, right? And when they
of different companies, though.
Of different companies, but they introduced them with their Skype contact info.
Yeah.
Oh, well, so who is it's a Chinese company that's obviously producing it, right?
Yeah.
Are they a member of Sevia?
It's a Chinese retailer called Av40.
Well, here would be my input, since they asked for all of our opinions. This is my input. There's a time and place for everything, and this is neither the time nor the place for something like that in the United States, anyway. If they want to focus their efforts on something to continue doing business here, I would urge them to join Sevia. Get in touch with Dimitri, get in touch with Phil, get in touch with the Sevia board in China, and put whatever money you're putting towards marketing in the United States with this vaping game show that's obviously not going to do us any good, and support the Right to Be Smoke-Free Coalition lawsuit. And that's exactly what needs to happen, not a vaping game show, because they spend all this money investing into R&D and doing a vaping game show for what? For an economy that we're not going to be able to grow into because the predicate date hasn't been changed? That it makes no sense to me at all. In fact, it kind of pisses me off a little bit.
Well, I mean, at the end of the day, it's business for them.
Yeah, but there will be no business here if we don't change the predicate
date. Well, I get that, but they're just a Chinese company that has no clue. But I think people are blowing it out of proportion. It's not going to harm us. It's just weird, and it's not going to stick or anything. You're absolutely right. It's misguided, and they should put that money into something better. But everyone's like, this is awful for vaping. Like, I don't really see that.
I agree. I agree. And believe me, I'm always one to harp on things, but this, we need to pick our battles. Spend our energy somewhere else than to rip on these guys, because it's doing nothing but actually giving them promotion anyway. So,
yeah.
I mean, I do agree. Behind closed doors, someone should say, hey, if you guys are wanting to put more money into this,
join Sevia.
Do it. Yeah, exactly. I don't know why people keep saying, like, in the comments, it will harm us. How? How is it going to harm us?
Right.
We already look fucking stupid. Look at the people in our country that do stupid shit.
The media here isn't going to harp on a bunch of Chinese people, blowing vapor balloons on a game show.
I disagree with that to some extent. I don't think it'll harm us as much as people think it will, but to another end, if you're not helping, you're hurting. And
well, I mean, that's always going to be true. If you're not helping, then
if they were doing something big to help advocacy, and they were also doing this, but it doesn't sound as though they are. So
I don't know. I just don't think we need to spend.
You don't want to add fuel to a fire that's already soaked with gasoline. I mean, we don't need that. I don't know how much it will harm the image of the industry, because like Matt says, I don't think our image, and that, again, that's one thing we need to work on improving, though. We don't need to add fuel to the fire. So that would be my opinion on that.
Well, yeah, I mean, I get that they're not doing any good.
Right.
But my point is that they like Jay said, they're not going to go and it's classic Chinese culture. That's what it is. I mean, they're not going to. They're like no U.S. site or news station is going to say, look at what these vapors are doing in China, because that's what they're doing with all kinds of others. They're doing game shows like that with other weird shit too.
Yeah, with Jello.
Yeah, and so it's like it doesn't affect us here, but they're dumb if they think that it's actually something that's going to, you know, get them viewers over here.
Right.
I mean, it's
Okay. Well, good. Well, I think we answered that question pretty thoroughly. We're going to move on now to the next topic that we had. And it was an article done by Dr. Michael Siegel called The Rest of the Story. And I'm going to go over to the right monitor here real quick. First of all, I'm going to show you what the story looks like. And it looks pretty official and everything. And Dr. Michael Siegel, it tells about him, Department of Community Health Sciences, Boston University School of Public Health. You know, I think he wrote this, he definitely wrote this as a satire and as a parody. But people were reading this and sharing it and thinking that it was true. And I just want to go down to the bottom where he put an amendment here, an addendum, and it says, "It has come to my attention that many readers did not realize that this is a parody, my attempt at satire. It is a sad state of affairs that the FDA's logic has been so terrible that my readers don't know if it's true or not." That was my exact point in doing this piece. I wanted to show the absurdity of the FDA's approach, and I think this analogy points it out in a way that many anti-vaping organizations would not understand in any other way. If there is any doubt about whether the deeming regulations are arbitrary and capricious, this is the proof. So what the article is about is he's making a parody on the fact that some e-liquid manufacturers were deriving nicotine from potatoes, and then asked the FDA for guidance on whether or not the nicotine they're using in their e-liquid derived from potatoes would be covered under the FDA deeming regulations. And the parody is that no, they would be considered potato products. But then potato products are covered under some 1937 Agricultural Marketing Agreement Act. Anyway, it was a really well done article for the parody of it, and basically, I think he proved his point. I think maybe he should have started at the top before he published with, you know, the paragraph about this being a parody and satire, because I guess some people just didn't get it and they thought that it was realistic. But I'll post a link in the description. And again, if you're listening on the podcast version, just find us on YouTube, and you'll be able to find the link to this article. But have you guys had a chance to read it? Did either of you read it?
Oh yeah, I read it.
What do you think? I mean, I thought he did a really good job of pointing out, basically, the FDA doesn't even know what they're saying half the time for guidance to the vaping industry in the United States. But even when they do, they're going to find a way to incorporate the product. If you say it came from a potato, they're going to say it's a potato product and it's regulated under this. If you say it was eggplant, which is another thing he mentions later, he's like, they're probably going to find a way to say that it's an eggplant product and it's regulated under this. So what did you guys think of it?
I thought it was, at least the first half of it was too subtle for its own good.
Yeah.
Because I mean, to be honest, I was suckered in, you know, until I got about halfway through the article. And I said, "Oh no, he's yanking my chain, like right. Totally yanking my chain." But you know, that's how government works. It made sense when he started rattling off, you know, regulations for potato growers. It made sense to me. It wasn't until it really started to get absurd about halfway through the article that I was just like, all right, he's full of shit.
Yeah, once they start saying like big potato.
Yeah, as soon as I think it was that exact term that made me say it, big potato. I said, yeah, that's it. All right.
You're absolutely right. Once, I mean, the fact that it even seemed semi-believable just shows how fucking crazy.
How crazy it is. Absolutely.
It all is. It was very subtle in the beginning.
Yeah, and he talks for a minute about how some an e-liquid manufacturer, obviously fictitious, out of the Tampa Bay area, has a product called sweet potato liquid or something like that, and the FDA was getting onto him because he used the term sweet, and he was obviously marketing towards children. Anyway, I mean, yeah, once you get about halfway or 2/3 of the way through it, you should realize that it is satire. But it's absolutely crazy in my mind after reading this that, well, I mean, it's not crazy. I mean, I guess I can understand how people who aren't involved in advocacy daily would read this and think that it was a true article, and you know, especially coming from a credible person like Dr. Michael Siegel. But it does drive home with a certain unbelievableness how the FDA deeming regulations came about, how they were framed, how they were written. how they're being explained by the FDA and the application of them. It's absolutely ridiculous. And I think that ultimately, if you can read it from that perspective, I think Michael Siegel did a great job with his article.
Yeah.
So,
Yep.
It's just goes to always show, folks, read or watch everything all the way through before sharing or commenting on it.
right.
It's just kind of like all these people posting the article about how President Obama says he's not going to leave office if Trump gets elected. Like right on the site, it says this is satire, but no one gets that far,
Right.
They just look like idiots.
Well, you see that all the time with Onion articles. People post Onion articles.
totally.
People automatically think they're true.
Anyway, it's a great read. If you have time to check it out, I'll post the link in the description. Again, in the comments, by the way, if you're watching this and if you just joined us recently, don't forget to smash that thumbs up button because it really helps us on the YouTube search results. And also, your comments do not transfer over during the live chat. So if you have any comments that you thought were relevant, make sure you post them as a comment once the video has ended, the live version has ended, and it's rendering. So smash that thumbs up button. Make sure to share the live feed now. We only have a few minutes left for it, but you can share the link. We'll post it in the VCCLive Facebook group when we're done here. When it renders.
And it will also be available on SoundCloud.
Yep,
on
smokefreeradio.com.
Yep.
Sorry, Jay.
That's okay. You say things.
No, you say things too. All right, so the last thing I wanted to talk about, that was scheduled anyway, we can obviously answer some questions. We can, shoot the shit, see what's going on in other areas. But the last thing that we had scheduled to talk about was the VTA, the Vapor Technology Association, is doing what's called a Thunderclap campaign. And what that means is, I'll share the link with you and I'll show you the page in just a second. Actually, let me go over here and do that real quick now. And it's going to show you, I did a quick video on this yesterday on Facebook Live and I posted it to our YouTube channel as well. You can just go to Google and type in VTA Thunderclap and it'll be the first search result. And essentially what you're going to do is support with Facebook, support with Twitter, support with Tumblr. So you click on one of those links and it asks you for permission to post to your account. Some people were telling me in the video that I did the Facebook Live yesterday and I shared it to YouTube that it was asking for access to their friends list and they weren't willing to do that. I'm not really too concerned about that. If Google or Facebook or any other online presence wants to know about you, they're going to find out about you. So it doesn't really bother me, I guess, too much. But for some people, that might be a hang up. I don't really have a privacy issue because I understand that in the digital world, nothing is private. So you basically click on, say, support with Facebook, and it will ask you for your permission to allow them to post a pre-written text with certain hashtags that they're going to get out on October 27th at 11:30 a.m. So everyone who signed up for this, they're going to, at that time, blast all of these media outlets, Facebook, Twitter, Tumblr, with these hashtags, We Are Vapor and Support Cole Bishop. And the whole point behind this is Cole Bishop is the only viable legislative strategy at the moment to change the predicate date. And without the predicate date changing, we're all screwed pretty much. 99% of the industry, gone in a couple of years' time. So Cole Bishop is, we've talked about this before, but there may be people watching that don't know, so I'll give you a really quick overview. Tom Cole from Oklahoma, representative, presented a bill last year, did not make it through, reworded the bill and got bipartisan support from Representative Bishop of Georgia, put it into the agricultural appropriations bill for this year, and it passed committee vote earlier this year, and it's just been waiting to be heard on a floor vote. I think it's going to end up getting wrapped up into a bigger funding bill, which will be heard in December. And we are running out of time to get this information out to Congress to support Cole Bishop being added to that funding bill. And this campaign, you can see, let me go back real quick here. I haven't refreshed this. Let me refresh it and see if these numbers update. So yeah, yesterday it was like 260,000 was the social reach. So in the past day, it's gained quite a bit. 424,000 is the social media reach right now, with people who have signed up and said, yes, you can post to my Facebook. Yes, you can post to my Twitter. Yes, you can post to my Tumblr with these hashtags. You can alter the messages slightly Obviously, Twitter has a character count, so you can only add a little bit more. I added like hashtag get involved, hashtag VCCLive or something like that for the ones that I did. But generally, it says it has a prefab message that will go out with these hashtags. So, have you guys heard of this yet? What are your thoughts on it? Anyone listening live have any comments on it?
This is the first time I've actually heard it explained, and I do like it. I guess I worry a little bit that there'll be backlash because people are just going to get inundated with this shit all at the same time. But in general, I think it's a great idea.
Matt, have you heard of it? What do you think?
Yeah, I think they're basically. I mean, it's smart. They're obviously trying to hit like the whole, SEO kind of thing. Get trending on the same day and stuff. I wouldn't worry about you linking it with your Facebook, like Kevin said. I mean, basically any type of service like that you link with your Facebook that's going to post to your account. They need to have access to your friends list, but they're not going to be looking at your friends. But
right.
If you've watched anything about Edward Snowden, their government already knows everything.
Yeah. So, I mean, the benefit of this is that at one moment in time, the social media outlets will be inundated with these hashtags and posts, and it'll be so loud of a thunderclap, which I guess why they named their program Thunderclap, that it can't be ignored by Congress, and it can't be ignored by those in positions to make decisions on behalf of what will happen to vaping and vaping policy. So yeah, I encourage everybody definitely to make sure you sign up for that. And yeah, Donna, we'll get the link and it'll be posted in the description to this video for sure. If you don't want to wait for the link, though, literally all you have to do is go to Google and type VTA space Thunderclap. That's it. It'll be the first link in the search results.
Kind of sounds like an STD.
Thunderclap.
Yeah, I was going to say something.
Well, I think the idea is that it's
position.
like thunder. It's such a loud and resonating thing that it has to be.
Yes, I know, Kevin.
I know.
It's a new version of the clap. It's called Thunderclap.
All right. So anyway, I just want to make sure we got that information out there about Thunderclap and the VTA's initiative. So. Yeah, that pretty much wraps up everything that we had for planned. We have about 6 or 7 minutes left. Jay, what do we have for questions or comments or anything else that we can discuss that you've noticed?
Matt stole my thunder.
Clap.
Sorry, buddy.
There it is. Yeah, Stanley's a little slow.
Comments, questions, anything in the chat?
No, a lot of good discussion going on, just like every week. A lot of people disagree with us about what was it? The game show. A lot of people disagree with us, but I guess it's kind of otherwise probably been a pretty slow couple of weeks in vaping for people to get like really pissed off about. So yeah, they're honing in on this game show thing.
We're kind of like in this lull right now, right before I think October's probably going to blow up, depending on what happens with this hearing. So
I don't think we're going to hear too much about the hearing for a couple months after, though. I mean, the main thing everyone needs to be focusing on right now, and just to kind of reiterate, is making sure your representatives and senators in your state, federally elected, are supporting Cole Bishop. Make sure they know what it's about. Make sure that they are trying to, support it. And I'm going to say it has to. I mean, if we don't get Cole Bishop into the funding initiative, and changing the predicate date is paramount in the United States at this point. So without that,
it'll calm the market, basically. It's not, a lot of people are like, well, it's fine if it passes next year, or another bill passes next year. And I've even said that before, but think of all the other, think of all the businesses that might go out of business before.
Right. And that's why I haven't heard anybody talking about injunction. We used to talk about it a lot, over the last 3 or 4 years. Just the fact that, once the deeming regs are released and the regs go into place, there will be lawsuits, there will be injunctions, all sorts of stuff. But we're not hearing about an injunction. An injunction would absolutely stop the bleeding right now. So I'm hopeful that as part of this lawsuit, there is an injunction that
Yeah,
prevents
but
the FDA from.
that's the thing with the legal process. It's not fast.
No, it's not. It's not.
So
That's what an injunction is designed to do. It's designed to keep things as they are for now until we figure this crap out.
I know what you're saying, though.
Yeah.
Up until like May, when we always knew that this was going to drop, but everybody was like, "Oh, we're going to get an injunction while we fight it." Right. And then once you learn more about it, and everybody's saying, "Well, you don't necessarily want to file an injunction unless you know you have a really good chance because it could harm you if you don't get it. If you file and you don't get it."
Well, I don't know. I would have to disagree with that. I mean, the lawsuit's funding is going to dry up if we don't get an injunction, because more and more companies are going to drop off as each aspect of the regulation kicks into place. There's going to be more companies dropping off. Those are companies that would potentially be helping to fund, the lawsuit. But I'm not a lawyer.
We have some great legal minds working for the Right to Be Smoke-Free campaign coalition, righttosmokefree.org, and we have the ones from Nicopure and Halo. And I'm absolutely positive if they thought it would be beneficial, and maybe it is a part of what they're trying to do. But again, just to be crystal clear, the only thing and the best chance that we have at this moment is to have Cole Bishop into the funding bill and passed. That is the only shot we have, I think, before the end of this year.
It's certainly the most clear-cut option we have, and there's already a decent force behind it, to at least make people aware of it. So yeah, I would absolutely agree. I just want to hear more about an injunction. That's what I want.
Well, I want to hear more about changing the predicate date. I don't give a shit how it gets done, and I think Cole Bishop is the way to do that at the moment. And with why I say before the end of the year, who knows what's going to happen November 8th with the election. Don't want to get this into but people always say I don't want to talk about politics, but politics control our lives, every aspect of it, especially with what we're doing right now in the vaping community. And I think if we can get this Cole Bishop language passed into the funding initiative in December, certainly before January 20th, which is when the presidential office switches hands into whoever won the election in November of this year, that's what we need to do. We need to have something change before. So,
I agree.
All right. Well, the last thing that we have, and then I don't see any questions about that. So the last thing we have, and I forgot completely last week to go talk about the quote that I like to put quotes up every week. I think it's interesting. I'm a quotophiliac. Is that a word? Anyway, I like quotes. So this
one,
this week is by a gentleman named Lord Acton, who was a British lord in the late 1800s, very early 1900s, and he was a very learned man, believed in liberty, and anyway, so his quote that I picked, and he's got a lot of great ones: "Liberty is not a means to a higher political end. It is itself the highest political end." So, what do you make of that, Jay? I know you like politics and learning about history, and what do you?
Well, it could mean a lot of things. To me, it means. A lot of politicians talk about liberty. Actually, not enough of them anymore.
Not anymore, right?
It's very rare that a politician even gives lip service to personal freedom anymore. There's no talk about it. But to the extent that it is talked about, it's used as rhetoric. It's used as absolutely meaningless words used to garner votes. But what liberty is, in my opinion, the ultimate political philosophy. Individual rights, personal responsibility. But beyond that, it's not even paid lip service at this point.
Yeah. What do you think, Matt?
I kind of agree. It's one of those words that's thrown around a lot, but no one really ever dives deep into its actual meaning. Right. It's used a lot by both sides. The right uses it to, try to show how much they want to stay out of your lives, but we don't necessarily always see that behind the scenes. I think sometimes they get the whole government. The government as a whole likes to give us the smoke screen that we have all this freedom and liberty and stuff, but behind closed doors, they know what buttons to push. It's kind of like when there was a lot of leaked documents back in, what was it, like 60s and 70s with like civil rights and stuff, and like, you know, how they were going to try to control it and still make these people feel like they won and they have, you know, they have these rights to do this, and it's all a fucking smokescreen to me.
Yeah, I think. Go ahead, Jay.
And it's funny, you know, there issues like what we're facing in the vaping community. These issues tend to make people understand the importance of liberty. But the problem that the whole concept of liberty has is that liberty isn't always pretty. It's not a perfect solution, you know, to any given issue. But people need to stop, you know, pushing for perfect solutions in lieu of good solutions. You know, liberty doesn't mean that you get a bunch of free stuff. Liberty means that you're allowed to get free stuff, you know, using, you know, whatever means necessary without you infringing on somebody else's liberty. That's it, you know. But
yeah, I think that in Lord Acton's time, I think that he admired what the founding fathers had set up and established in the United States, based on my limited reading of him to this point. And I think that he had every right to at the time, because he was within 100 years of the U.S.'s formation and implementation as a society, and I think that at that time liberty was still high on the scale of what it meant to be an American. And I think since then it's done this. We've seen a downward trend.
Yeah, it just gets chipped away.
It gets chipped away, and as the government takes more and more of our personal freedoms, and each generation goes by, and again, I talked about this a couple of weeks ago, we get more and more used to it, and we're willing to give up a little bit more of that liberty. I think we need to get back to the mindset of what got us, what established us as a country, and stop accepting the government taking our liberty and our freedom. And that's what it boils down to. And how you tie that into the vaping community, if I want to do this, it's my choice. If I'm not harming anyone else, who the fuck are you to tell me I can't? Government. I'm talking to the government.
Right.
So
there's actually a great quote that says, I'm going to paraphrase, but the government steps in, breaks your leg, then gives you a crutch and says, see, without me, you couldn't walk.
Right. Yeah, that's absolutely true, and that's what happened with society in America over the last 150 years. We've become too reliant on the government to be our caretaker, and that's not what America was founded on. Those are just not the principles we were founded on. So yeah,
see, I think this isn't a conversation for now, but I think it's so much deeper. I think I'm not a right-wing person, though. I mean, I think the whole system's fucked on both ends. I mean, you know, we deregulate things, and then these companies all are allowed to take advantage of the people. Then we over-regulate things, and it's just
that's what the government does, though.
The whole balance is completely out of whack.
There is no balance with the government. It's one extreme to the other, and that's not the way things go. I mean. Anyway, yeah, I think you're right. This is a larger discussion. This is just a quote that I put up, and I wanted to.
Let's start doing Wednesday night political podcasts.
Yeah.
Hey, there you go. Maybe people will want to listen to that. Who knows? But the point is, don't give up your liberty, ladies and gentlemen. Fight for your right to vape. If they take it away, fight to get it back. Just don't quit. Don't give up. Don't let what we're doing here be a hollow victory in a few years if we do get the predicate date changed and there's no industry around left to recover from. So yeah, that's all we had today. Any closing thoughts, guys?
I'm tired
and sick. I'm gonna go rest. Matt, you got anything coming up? Any cool videos coming out?
No, I'll make sure to get my camera under control next week, though. My bad. Sorry, guys.
Sounds good. No, that's fine. We don't.
I'm just a lot better looking than these other two guys, so I want to make sure I don't look as good.
I'm working on
visually.
I'm joking. There. Now we all have frontwards facing hats. That just doesn't look right. All right, so we'll be back next Friday with another episode. We'll have some updates for you on various things we talked about the last few weeks. Hopefully Nick will be back with us. I'm not sure what his travel schedule is, but I think he'll be back in the U.S. or at home. So yeah, make sure you check it out. Don't forget to smash the thumbs up button down there. Like the video, share it. We need comments on it as well so that we move up in the YouTube search results. We appreciate you tuning in. Without you guys watching and providing commentary, I mean, obviously there's no point in doing it, but to have a group of people who are care enough about advocacy and what's happening with tobacco harm reduction and vaping in the United States and beyond, to tune in and watch the video and share the video and like the video. Yeah, obviously that's motivation for us to keep doing what we're doing. We do have one thumbs down. So I guess maybe someone hit the wrong button, or I can't imagine what we said during this episode that would make people thumbs down.
I noticed that was right at the beginning of the show. It was just one of the snipers. I'm sure it was Ed Wolf.
Welcome to my world, buddy.
Yeah.
I'll upload a video and get like 4 thumbs down in the first minute.
It was before
they even watch it. The video is 30 minutes long, and within 1 minute they've
They're
already
like, "Oh,
disliked
Matt
it."
just uploaded a video. Oh, I'm gonna jerk off and press the thumbs down button." Sorry, that was a little graphic.
He'll be here
Sorry,
till Thursday. All right. Well, anyway, we appreciate you guys tuning in. Thank you very much. Check us out next week. Facebook, search for VCCLive. You'll find us. Remember, you don't have to do everything, but you do have to do something. Get involved.